What's up guys, Sekapoko here, bringing you another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. For this, we'll be doing my tier list update for May, right after we've gotten the new information for the brand new Gear 4, version 4, version 5, I'm calling it V4 Luffy for now. Luffy, as well as the new Nami, and we're going over some of the changes that I've seen over the last month or two in One Piece Treasure Cruise, some of the legends that I think you should roll for, all those things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, well it's time to go over the tier list and go over some of the units as well as talk about what my thoughts and feelings are on each unit and the placements of those units. So, if you've never watched one of the tier list videos before, what we're doing when we organize the tier list is we're going to first organize my color, and then we talk about the different classes that are the best, the different colors that are the best, etc., and where they are versus utility, strength, speed, survivability, safety, all that stuff, and where they are at any given month. So we're going to be doing this for the May version, and just know that if you watch this video out of context, it's definitely not going to seem like it makes much sense if you're watching this and you're playing a global version. Everything is much different on global than it is on the Japanese version, and the versions are at least 6 months apart depending on what you look at. The versions were released about 9 months apart, so they're going to have a lot of differences. So I hope you guys enjoy this tier list. We're going to go into talking about the first set of units, which is going to be strength units. Now, the number one strength unit is still going to retain as Lucy. If you're watching the previous video, it's going to be somewhere in the card description over there, and you should see it for the best unit. So, I'm recording this live on stream right now, so a lot of people wanted to know exactly what's going on with the tier list. We made a lot of edits and talked about them and made some rational calls here. But just as far as units go, Lucy is going to stay at number 1 from last month. No changes there. Luffy Ace is going to stay at number 2. Then we have Croc, Akainu, Lucci, Inarashi, Whitebeard, Bartolomeo, and Log Luffy. And again, this is not considering the Barto 6 Plus, which is in a different section. Now, if you want to know what I think about the legends, they're going to have each one of them have a description. The ones that are lower on the tier list, and like in the bottom 5 to bottom 6, or maybe bottom 8, might have some out-of-date stuff here for the reason of why they're there. So just know that if you're reading some of those, they're not up to date. I don't have time to update the lower ones. I usually just update the top 5 or top 7, depending on the color. Going into the best types by order, there's going to be no change from last month. It's still going to be Int is the number 1 class, Sai is the number 2 class, Quick is the number 3 class, Strength number 4, and Dex number 5. And this is including the new Nami release. And we'll go over why Dex is staying number 5 just a little bit. We were actually trying to figure out if Dex could be better than Strength, or Strength could be better than Quick, etc., and try to figure out what the unit's viability would be. And what really came down to it is because every class has a certain amount of color affinity, type boost, orb boost. They have all the orb manipulate you can need. And the thing with Int, Size, Strength, and Quick is that V2 Aokiji and V2 Akainu are extremely strong and boost both of those colors excessively. Plus, you do have V2 Shanks giving Int a very big edge. So overall, it's really, really tough to say which one is going to have the most damage. And now with the introduction of new Nami, you have similar damage on Nami, so you're able to get similar damage between all 5 of the colors. Now the difference is then going to be in utility. So going over the utility between the different 5 classes or colors here, or types, Int did not have the best utility. The best utility was actually on Sai. But the thing with Int is that it had V2 Aokiji and Akainu, so it had a little bit more damage, just the smallest amount to make it, well, it was like, well, I could put Sai above Int, and I'm really not sure I should. And I'm actually going to hold off on reservation putting Sai above Int, because Int has pretty much the same damage as Sai overall, but Sai has more utility. And that can be seen with Raid Bartolomeo. It can be some of the units that you can use on your Sai and Quick teams, like for the new V2 Aokiji. For Int, you have a lot of units that you can bring, and then you have Int and Strength units, which have different kinds of viability. So it's really hard to say between the two which is a little bit better. But for right now, I'm going to say Int is better than Sai, but Quick is better than Strength. And kind of a balance there between the two captains. And then Dex right now is the worst, which is like very surprising to me. I was actually trying to figure out if Dex could be better than Strength, and there was just no way I could figure out that Dex could be better as far as utility goes. They're missing a lot of things that would make them very, very good. And if they just had a few more utility units, then it would actually be better. Things that are missing are like enemy damage threshold cap removal. They're missing a lot of different things there. But they do have units like Blackbeard that allow you to go through those things. but that is not really a Dex-based ability or a Dex Captain ability, because you're not going to be using I don't really think you're using Dex Blackbird with Nami a ton of times, but if you did want to, I guess you could. So it's really tough to say what's the best there between Dex and Strength. I'm still going to say Strength is better for now, and if we do see some things that Dex come out with that are just so good, we'll put Dex above Strength, and it may even move further up in the chain as time goes on. Now, for the fun stuff, for the quick version, the new Gear 4 Luffy, or version 4 Luffy, is stupid good. And I was trying to find a reason to put him at number 2 on the list, and we actually played around for about a good hour with Luffy, version 4 Luffy, and we're trying to figure out if he would be better or worse than the Luffy Ace. So what's really interesting is I could not figure it out, and one of the things that made it really great, and it was one of the things that was just really strong about it, is we were going to make a team with a lot of different units here, and you can kind of see it. We're using the version 4 Luffy here. We have the new Dex Nami on the team. We have the Limited Rare Crew Jewelry Bonnie. Then we have the new Chopper and the new Carrot. And this damage is actually not representative of how much damage this team can do, because it is a rainbow team and B has color affinity. So there's some beneficial damage that we're not seeing here in the damage calculator, and could actually be potentially about 30 to 50% larger than what we're seeing here. So I'm not exactly sure how much damage we're going to see, but it could be even larger than that, especially on a 5, if you had 6 units of different colors on the stage, where you had 2 strength units on the stage, and a lot of different things. So one of the reasons that this team is so strong right now, and I'll put it on the screen for you guys so you can see it, is that on this team, we actually have so much utility along with every single beneficial boost in the game. We're actually getting 0.6 chain multiplier from the Chopper, a 2x type boost from the G4 V4 Luffy, or Tankman. I'm calling him V4 Luffy because it just sounds funny. Then it's going to be 2x Orb boost from the Nami, a 1.75 color affinity from the Nami, and then a 1.75 conditional from the Carrot. Then we're also going to get a lot of utility along with that. From the Chopper, we're actually getting threshold damage removal and enrage. We're also going to get paralysis and despair removal. We're going to get defense reduction on the Chopper. We're going to get bind and paralysis, recovery down, blindness, and silence from the Bonnie. And the funny thing is that the Bonnie can be switched out for any unit in the game. Non-conditional on anything. You actually put any utility unit in the entire game in the spot where Limited Rare Crew Bonnie is. And it actually doesn't matter what unit you put there, because you will still have a utility unit for countering anything. And with all 5 of these units besides the Bonnie, or sorry, all 4 of these units besides the Bonnie, you're still getting every boost in the game, and then whatever you want for utility. And you already have a ton of utility before that. You already have paralysis removal, despair removal, threshold damage removal, enrage removal, and defense reduction. So you already have a ton of utility before you even get to the other utility unit that you could bring in. You could bring another delayer besides the Carrot, who also delays. You could bring in damage, defense removal. You could bring in enemy percent damage removal with the version 2 Diamante. Any unit you want, which is insanely strong because you have every boost you need for damage, and now you can bring any utility, which is bonkers strong. And the thing is that this team also has perfect orb manipulation because of how this team works. So you're gonna first off get strength, quick, and psi beneficial initially. Sorry about that. I'll just move the Carrot. Makes it easier. The Carrot here is going to take any colored orbs you have and change them into psi orbs, so that you already just instantly get all colored orb matching with the Carrot. And then for any, oops, sorry about that. I'm gonna move the Bonnie over too. So for the Bonnie, she's going to change any block and bomb orbs into recovery orbs, which are already made matching from the beneficial orb enable that you get from the Tankman ability, which makes recovery and tandem beneficial when you pop a special. So you have full board orb enable on every single orb you could possibly have in the entire game, and the only thing that would counter you at this point would be recovery, like anything that would counter the orb manipulate, really go back into like a bomb orb or whatever. But if you had that problem, you could bring Shirahoshi and you're fine. So, and the only thing that Shirahoshi wouldn't get is she wouldn't get a damage boost from the orb boost and color affinity, which is perfectly fine because you can just attack with her first. So it's totally good there. overall, this like the team is just so strong, and you can do so much with it. I just cannot find a way for content to beat this team. There probably will be a way when you pop a special and a type boost, and the type boost makes it so you cannot do anything, or maybe the color efficiency or beneficial orbit will get screwed over in some way. But this team is extremely strong, so I definitely don't see any content beating it for a while. Going back into the tier list and talking about this, Luffy Ace did not become worse. I just think G4 is better. I just think he's better. There's so much you can do with him. There's so many crazy things. I can't find a way that V4 Luffy is worse than Luffy Ace. And then next we have Frankie, and the reason Frankie is going to stay at that number 3 spot, and a lot of you guys was like, no, V2 Lucci's better, Frankie sucks, blah, 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 and whatever. Frankie, by the way, works with both Luffy Ace and V4 Luffy. So if you do want to use Frankie, he is a pretty much rainbow captain. He also works with a Nami sub, so if you want to use Frankie plus Nami sub, you have color affinity in your teams, along with a lot of AoE. You can get barrier penetration on the teams. There are tons of different things you can do with Frankie. And Frankie's viability is still very, very, very big and strong, so just know that you're going to have a lot of different viability with these units. V2 Lucci, good, but you don't really... I don't know of a ton of people that still use V2 Lucci. I guess you would use them if you just want to go into the content and just keep clearing stuff, but it's not as fast as a lot of the legends. He's not a top tier legend anymore. He's still strong, just not as good. V2 Law 6+, I would say still the same spot. Then we got Kuzan, V2 Law in general, TS Luffy, 6+ Barto, Enel, version 1 Doflamingo, Marco, and Boa Cavendish, all the units there. And Marco is probably going to stay the same spot there, even with his limit break. I don't think he's going to go above version 1 Doflamingo. You don't really use version 1 Doflamingo a ton anymore, but he's still a 2x Orb Booster for any team, so I guess potentially Marco could be better, but no one really uses Doflamingo anymore. It might in the future, but Marco might be more viable, but I don't know if better is the right word. So the best classes in order, they're not going to change from the last month. I tried figuring out if there would be a better way to do it. And my argument is still V2 Dofi just counters mechanics. By himself, with the V2 Dofi driven teams, you just counter every mechanic. The only thing that you get countered on is special rollback on your captains, which treble also counters, so you have special rollback counters. The only thing that really counters you in the last, 6 months that V2 Dofi's been countered is with, the V2 Aokiji, in the Blitz Battle Ranking event, when they actually specifically roll back Driven. And that had nothing to do with V2 Dofi being nuked. It's like saying that Driven is bad because you can't bring a Driven team to a Cerebral-only Fortnite. Or a Striker-only Fortnite, for that matter. Let's say, that's a weird argument to make. You're like, oh, you can only bring Slashers, but you can't bring V2 Dofi, So that's why V2 will be bad. That's a really bad argument to make against Driven. So that's the only time they've been countered, and they've been countered specifically. So, I mean, I can't say that they're bad in any way. Powerhouse, I still say is number 2. I could potentially move Powerhouse down, but I'm keeping them where they are. People still make a lot of Powerhouse teams that are still very strong for a lot of content. Free Spirit teams are insanely strong. They're consistently strong. I could even argue that Free Spirit could be number 1. I could argue that number 2. But Free Spirit still has some weaknesses to shore up. And there's not a ton of weaknesses, but there are some. Cerebral, obviously strong class. Solid all the way around. They have crazy amounts of utility, crazy amounts of damage, massive orb manipulation, tons of damage. There's so many things that they can do, but I'd say they're the most well-rounded class, and that makes them in a great spot at number 4. Number 5 against Slasher, Striker, and then Shooter Fighter. Slashers, of course, with the new Tashigi, we're going to see some different teams for Slasher, but I still don't think they're better than most other classes. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is Doflamingo, Nami, and Rayleigh. Now, this is going to be a big point of contention for a lot of people. They want to talk about what's better, Nami, what's better, Rayleigh, all the units there. And Doflamingo, I think, is still the number 1 dex unit in the entire game. His special is just too strong. There are so many times that V2 Dofi special just counters content. And it's just so strong. There's just so many times you can use it. The new Nami is going to be in at the number 2 slot. And the reason she's at the number 2 slot is because she is now one of the best subs in the game. So if you don't know what Nami does, Nami is going to be a 1.75 conditional booster and a 2x orb booster for Cerebral, Driven, Powerhouse, and Free Spirit. So you have 4 classes. You are giving basically a universal orb and affinity boost. And that makes her an amazing unit on those types of teams. Chain Boost and Chain Lock are much easier to attain, and that's why I would say Rayleigh is not as good, because you can actually get Color Affinity and Orb Boost, which is really good together, and Chain Lock is much easier to obtain, and so is Chain Boost versus Color Affinity. And that's why I like to put Nami at number 2. That's the main reason there. Also, Rayleigh has a really annoying thing with his captain ability, is that it is an HP thresholded captain. Most of the time when you're attacking with Rayleigh, it's going to be a 2.5 captain. On your burst turn, it is a 3.5 captain. So arguably, Rayleigh could be a better captain because he is a rainbow character. However, Nami is also a pure dex captain or a bitch and sub. There are a lot of teams that you can use with Nami that can go through content, just like you can use Rayleigh to go through content. Now the question is really, who's better between the two as a sub and not a captain? Because between the two, they're both kind of really good captains in their own way, but they both have weaknesses, and they're very apparent. The weakness for Rayleigh is that you have to be low HP to do damage, and that means you have to use an HP reducer, which limits your team a little bit more. The HP reducers that you can use consistently are Anil and Pedro, as far as really great units to use as HP reducers. There are some other ones, however, those are the prevalent ones that you would probably use in most situations. Whereas Nami doesn't have to deal with that, and that's really nice. With Nami, you just 3.75 all the time, and you make strength and quick beneficial all the time. So it's impossible for your teams on a full dex team to get a badly matching orb, which is really nice. By itself, that's awesome. You can't get badly matching orbs. That's nice. I love that. On Rayleigh teams, you can. A lot. So Nami by itself is a really strong captain, and as far as damage goes, as strong as Lucy in damage, if not stronger, depending on the type advantage you have against the content. But Nami does have that weakness where she doesn't have any HP boost or any kind of survivability, whereas Rayleigh has that same weakness. It has the damage reduction on the special, but you're still going to get more damage out of a Nami team than you would a Rayleigh team. You can still use Rayleigh sub on a Nami team, which is still, there's still options there. And there are other, and you can do vice versa. You can use Nami sub on a Rayleigh team, and then just try to go in that direction too, and use like a Dex Enel to boost your team. So there's lots of different combinations there, and my personal opinion is I think that Nami is better than Rayleigh. We're not talking leaps and bounds, but we're talking about this much. The difference between Nami and Rayleigh to me is this much. We're not talking a massive amount, so much better that it's numbered to infinity, but about this much. So it's nearly a tie. As far as the rest of the units go, we got Blackbeard, Magellan, 6+ Zoro, 6+ Ace, Usopp, Crocodile, and Corazon stay in the same spots. And then for Sai, we're going to have a lot of changes here. Now, the first changes we're going to have for the Sai category is that V2 Aokiji is going to take the number 1 spot on Sai. And the reason he's going to do that is because consistently for content, he is becoming just one of those strong, safe captains. He has tons of damage, lots of utility, no real apparent weaknesses, perfect orb manipulation. I just can't find a reason why this unit's bad. There's so much good with this unit. You can get almost every single utility in the game in this unit, and you can bring Barto for Ray Barto for a lot of content that you just really are about to get death hit on. You can bring Robin on those teams if you want to. There are tons of things you can bring with V2 Aokiji. And the thing is, Sai and Quick are so legend heavy that you can legitimately bring V2 Aokiji with a bunch of legends, and you would still have a bitchin' team. And there's so many things that you can do with V2 Aokiji. He's so strong, I just cannot find a way that Judge is better. And the thing with Judge is that Judge is really good. Tons of damage reduction, tons of damage. And I'd say that the gap between V2 Aokiji and Judge is more like this versus the original one with Nami and Rayleigh being like this. So there's a definite bigger difference between V2 Aokiji and Judge versus the other way around. Then the next one we're going to have is going to be Robin. And Robin, I'm going to move up to the number 3 slot. And the big reason here is that Robin is showing to be more useful and more future-proof than Nekomamushi. And the main reason for that is because Strikers A are falling down. They're definitely hurting a little bit as we keep going. And B, Robin is so good. 7,500 meat orbs. 100% damage reduction, 42% innate damage reduction. I mean, come on, that's just so strong. And Cerebral is such a bitch in class right now. Striker's just kind of fallen off entirely. I don't know anybody that wants to use a Striker team on current content. They're fighting to use Striker teams because they have to use it. So it's really tough to say that they're really good. I mean, of course, you have Shirahoshi, Neko argument that are still really good together, but that's like 3 Orb Manipulators on one team because you're using Neko, and Shirahoshi. So, I mean, is that really a good team? I just think that Robin is just super, super strong. Then we got V1 Law 6+ moving up above G4 Luffy. Main reason here is that no one really uses G4 Luffy anymore, and everybody's using 6+ Law all the time for a lot of content. He's really great as a speed sub on a lot of your Neptune teams. He's a great sub for Cerebral teams, Free Spirit teams, Psy teams, Dex-Psy teams, Dex-Psy teams too. As we found out with the Kizaru Special Showcase. There's a lot of teams that you can use for the 6+ Law, and he's really, really good. I was very, very happy with him, and I haven't really found content that makes him poor to use against. He's just overall good. G4 Luffy obviously fallen off a lot, and no one really uses him as anymore, but I can't for the life of me say that G4 Luffy is worse than 6+ Kizaru. Main reason there is 6+ Kizaru is really good, but needs a limit break real bad. Like this Kizaru would move up above. I would say the 6+ Kizaru would move above the 6+ Law if in his limit break he got -3 to -4 cooldown. If he got -3 to -4 cooldown in his limit break, he would be a definite, really high tier captain. And the reason that would be so true is because if he was at a 2-turn cooldown or a 3-turn cooldown, you can pop a 3.5 captain ability all the time, which is insane. I love that a lot. There's a lot of cool things about this Borsalino, and I really want him to be better, but I just cannot for the life of me find out the perfect teams for him. And he is this close to being freaking fantastic. Below that, we got V2 Boa, who no one uses ever. If you say you use her, you're lying. I have not seen a V2 Boa team in oh so long. But I do see 6+ Kizaru teams because they are good for speed farming content because of the minus cooldown. And you actually find uses for them, whereas V2 Boa no one can find uses for. If you found uses for it, great, but I never do. Then we have 6+ Sabo, Shanks, and Sengoku. Sabo, I could actually argue that Sabo is better than V2 Boa because there's just no shooter teams, ever. Whereas Sabo's limit break is bitchin'. I could use Sabo all day on Free Spirit teams, but I can never find a reason to use this Boa. Next, going into the Int category, we got V2 Shanks is going to be number 1 still, V2 Akaine number 2, V2 Fujitora number 3, 6+ Hody number 4, and then we got Mihawk number 5. Now, there are some changes in the lower tier section of this list. I actually put 6+ Jinbei all the way up to a number 6 slot and put 6+. And main reason is because he's got better survivability than Fujitora. The Orb Manipulator is really great, and then a lot of his viability is really good. I haven't updated his rationale here. I'll probably do that after the video, and it'll be all set. Then we got V1 Fujitora, who's just kind of meh. He's kind of just he gateways into V1 into V2 Dofi, but the thing is you kind of waste the special by doing that, so he's just really not the best. Then we got Sanji. Sanji is going to have just a lot less use nowadays. I don't see a ton of people using Sanji ever. It's really hard to use Sanji for content because of how he works. So if you do want to use Sanji, great. But if you can't use him, I mean, don't feel bad because he's so hard to use. Then we got Rayleigh, Buggy, and Sengoku. So overall, those are my thoughts and opinions on how I would rank the characters from start to finish from every color. Let me know you guys think about those. And for you guys that are newer players, for to have for you guys, one of the biggest questions I get on the stream is, hey, what should I be re-rolling for? What should I be going for on this Sugo Fest? Who's the character I should go for? And actually what I did was I created a whole different section of this tier list to talk about this with a lot of different players. The number one thing that I would say on this most recent Sugo Fest is these characters on the left-hand side here, or in the middle of the screen, are going to be the best units to reroll for. And if you are going to be getting another unit along with them, one of the best units to get along with them are all the units on the other side, which are on the right-hand side of the screen. So, the best units, of course, in no particular order, are version 4 Luffy, Luffy Ace, version 2 Shanks, version 2 Aokiji, and Lucy. Those are the 5 best starter characters for any account, in my personal opinion. Those are just super, super strong characters to have on any account. And then great units, if you do end up re-rolling with these units, and you get a great account with one of those units and actually pull a double legend account, some of the great units to have with those units are Shirahoshi, version 2 Doflamingo, version 2 Rayleigh, the new Nami, as well as Robin. All 5 of these units will be amazing units for your future content and give you a lot of viability as well as sustainability for future content. So these units are probably the best subs or characters to bring along with your amazing captain, or captains themselves, that you can actually use for a lot of content. So just know that you can actually use your version 2 Doflamingo on a version 4 Luffy team. You can use them on a version 2 Shanks team. You can use them on a Lucy team. You can use Shirahoshi on a bunch of these teams just if you want to. Version 2 Rayleigh is one of the best orb orb boosters and chain lockers in the game. Really good utility as well as damage reduction, a lot of things there that you need. But he does have more niche of use because he's harder to use for newer players. He does have a lot of great damage, but he's definitely harder to use than these other units. Then we have Nami, who's going to provide color affinity and orb boost for your entire team, which is going to be a great ability for many, 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 many months to come. Then we're going to have Robin negating all damage, which is really useful for a lot of teams, and really great as a captain if you do end up getting cerebral units on your account. You can actually use this character as a captain, and it tons and tons of damage reduction as well as healing on your teams. And of course, you can use the Nami on a Robin team. You can use Shanks on a Robin team. There's a lot of units that you can use on a lot of those teams, so it will definitely allow you to use really fun teams, a lot of variety, and these are the best 5 units that I think you should roll for, with a lot of 5 units that have fun with, that will actually help you through future content. Alright guys, well my name is Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you smack the like button down below, as well as the subscribe button down below, so we get lots of support in the channel, and of course, keep the channel growing. If you guys do want to get notifications on all my videos, make sure you hit the bell notification right next to it, so you guys get notifications every time I drop a video. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Peace.